which they're now selling as the biggest investment in green energy. Well, joining me now to discuss is the CEO and founder of the American Energy Institute and a former Texas representative, Jason Isaac. And wouldn't you know, it's Climate Week here in New York City because the UN is in town and everybody's flying around in a private jet.
Happy Climate Week if you celebrate. I certainly don't. I embrace the high carbon lifestyle. I wish the rest of the world would get to live the same one that we do, but you've got people in New York that are professing that we live this energy transition, this low carbon lifestyle, which is really death. And it's quite really bad is what it is. But they want to pontificate on high while they fly in on their private jets. They want us to not eat meat. They don't want us to use trains or planes or really travel anywhere. They kind of want us locked down like they had us locked down during COVID.
Yeah, we should have the World Economic Forum travel package. Right? Do all the things they do. And Greta Thunberg's not here because she's busy off protesting Israel now. But right now, we're being told to read Kamala Harris's 80-page plan. I read it. It's all left-wing garbage. But she does take credit for the Inflation Reduction Act, which they don't mention gave us inflation. She says she's bringing down the cost of energy by making the greatest investment in green energy and the transition. I don't know how that brings down energy prices because it could take 10, 20, 30, never years for this stuff to work, right? They're saying we're bringing down the price of energy by destroying natural oil and natural gas and coal.
Well, let me tell you, Andrew, who's actually reducing the cost of their energy. It's people in what I commonly refer to as California because of the policies that have been embraced there, cap and trade, carbon tax, their energy transition. But in California last year, 215,000 families got cheaper electricity bills because they got their electricity cut off. They couldn't afford it. They don't have the credit available. So they can't even put their bills on a credit card to pay their debt for their electric bills because their rates are the highest in the U.S. They're astronomical. They're more than double, in some places triple what they are around the United States. And if you look by the end of last year, 42,000 of those 215,000 families didn't get it reconnected. They could not afford to get their electricity reconnected because the environmental policies in California are crushing them. And if you've ever bought a house or signed a lease or had homeowners insurance, you know those things require one thing. They require that you have your utilities connected and operational to protect that home from mold and mildew. So those 42,000 families are really the ones that are at the greatest risk of homelessness in this country because of Kamalanomics.
You know, Donald Trump said at a recent rally that he would bring down inflation by cutting energy prices by 50%. And you know what? He can do it just by putting in place all the policies that we had when energy was 50% cheaper.
Yeah, the average American family under the Trump administration, the first Trump administration, was saving $2,500 a year on energy cost. That was extra money in their pockets. And guess what? They're putting it back into the economy. That's why our economy was doing amazing. 401ks were growing like never before. Reverse that here in one administration, the Biden-Harris administration. Everything has that $2,500 in savings has been completely replaced with a turnaround of a $5,200 increase in cost for everything, because energy isn't just part of our economy, it's the heart of our economy. And as the cost of energy increase, so does everything else. And when we demonize hydrocarbons, fossil fuels, everything's going to be made more expensive. And when you've got the government and global financial institutions and the World Economic Forum and the UN working in lockstep to deny access to capital for those energy producers, to crush them, to make them bend the knee to their ESG cartel, this is what happens. We're all suffering. Everyone's suffering. And it's crushing the least among us more than anyone else.
You know, Donald Trump met with Volodymyr Zelensky today. And, you know, one of the things that he's been clear about is one of the ways to end this war in Ukraine, and I remember Trump saying it, that if Germany got hooked on Russian oil and natural gas, it would be bad for the world. And they all said, you don't talk to Angela Merkel, or I like to call her German Hillary, like that. And he was right. He wanted to retrofit ports in Europe to ship American oil and natural gas. If he were to get into office and make that happen, it would starve Russia's energy sector if we could get Europe off their energy, right? If we can net export, if we can export energy to the countries that are buying it from Russia, that might put that would put an end to that war. Trump would say, look, if you don't pull your troops out, I'm going to crush your energy sector.
You're absolutely right, Andrew. You hit the nail on the head right there. Wars are happening around the world because of American energy policy and the current administration attacking our energy production. We could be exporting natural gas to Ukraine, to Germany, to Italy. Actually, you could take natural gas from Israel and export it over to Italy, but the Europeans are fighting that. Instead, they've become dependent on Russia. And I love President Trump's comments at the UN when the Germans were laughing at him when he was warning them about this before Ukraine was attacked. And I joke that if Germany could be powered by smug, they would have an unlimited supply but now you look, Germany's got the most expensive electricity costs in the world. They put California to shame. I mean, California is going in that same direction. And what's happening in Germany? The largest BMW, a German automobile manufacturer, the largest manufacturing facility is in South Carolina. BASF, one of the largest chemical companies, is leaving Germany and citing high energy costs as the reason they're moving operations to China, where they're building a coal-fired power plant every single week and exporting electricity and energy for the first time ever in their existence. And then to talk about China, they're sending $5 billion a month to Iran that is funding terror in the Middle East because the Biden-Harris administration is ignoring sanctions that have been on the books for years. That was something that didn't happen during the Trump administration. There was something oddly resembling peace in the Middle East because of the Trump administration.
I'm going to run out of time here, but it's amazing how this all interconnects. And I remember when Trump said, Germany's not paying their fair share of GDP to NATO, but buying their oil and natural gas from Russia while citing Russia as their number one military threat. So he's like, you're not paying into NATO, but you're buying Russian oil and natural gas. And you're right. If you've got the Chinese funding the Iranians that we once had sanctions on, that they couldn't sell their oil and they were going broke in the process, our energy policy under Trump was bringing peace and prosperity to the world. I got to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us. Blowing my mind here. Have a great weekend. Jason Isaac.
On.